Okay, so now you've decided on which functions, which two functions you're going to focus on, and you can just write them here again on slide 5. And now it's time to decide which actual structures or sentence starters, people use different words here, you're going to use. So again, you could come here and you could just take them from here. And Eowyn says that I think either two levels. So ideally, you would want to have sort of some challenging structures for more advanced students, and some basic ones for the ones for just the average kid in your class. And maybe if you have some really struggling EAL students, you might want to have a third one. So you can decide on that. You could change this to um, 2 levels instead of 3. So make that decision, and then come and take a look at which ones might be useful for your subject. Now, this is where you need to be careful because, in my opinion, if you just copy and paste here or just take these ones directly, you might end up doing more harm than good because if you choose things that actually aren't helpful to do your assessment, then it's going to hurt the kids rather than help them. So this is where your model comes in, where you actually can, if you've written a model answer, then you've actually thought about the language necessary, and you can use that language and some other alternatives that you know will be helpful. So, so for example, I was taking a look at the ICE unit, and I was looking at description to describe a city, and I went down to description here, and where's description? Okay, here we are. And I basically thought that none of these were useful for describing a city. And I'm not saying because they don't have city words in them. I'm just saying that I think it looks like blank due to blank. That if a kid writes a sentence like this, it's actually going to be not very appropriate. So I wouldn't choose this. And so you're always going to be picking and choosing. Maybe you're going to be able to pick some really good ones from this list, but maybe you're going to need to make them up on your own. Okay, so how are you going to know what sentence starters? You got to try to think about how you would do the assessment, um, or look at it how a successful student did it before and pick out the sentence structures from that. Um, this also could get into like what grammatical structures are important. If you feel you want help with that, just ask me, or you might know. Okay, so does the student need to use the passive um, or other conditionals or whatever? So, but that's getting into a little bit. So so level 7 here, she actually talks about, she sometimes includes some grammatical or some other things that are not sentence structures. So no, it's a little complex. That's the basics, though. And so at the end of this is the meat of what I hope you do today. You have two functions, and then you have at least a couple of tiers of sentence structures that you're going to help the students with that relate to your assessment.